Hi, this is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. Perhaps no other artist continues to fascinate us as much as Leonardo da Vinci does. And a question that many people have asked is, was Leonardo da Vinci vegetarian? Is that myth or is that a fiction? That's kind of an interesting question. First of all, let's discuss vegetarian in the 15th century. It's essential to understand that at his time, cultural and social norms, during the Renaissance, the concept of vegetarianism as we understand it today was not very widespread. Most European people ate meat when they could afford it, though their diet was mainly plant-based, mainly due to economic restraints rather than ethical choices. So it's important to understand here that people would eat meat if they could afford meat, but they did not eat meat when they could not afford it, and they had a very much of a plant-based diet because of that. Meat was seen as a symbol of wealth and prosperity, and it was for the upper classes. It was an essential part of feasts and banquets. That's why if you went into, in the 15th century, if you went into a special feast or banquet of someone that was wealthy, they'd probably have several type of meat dishes to show that they were wealthy and able to afford the meat. Some philosophical and religious traditions, however, included certain aspects, Christianity, Platoism, and other types, believed in the abstinence from meat. These groups often believed that a vegetarian diet was purer or more aligned more closely with spiritual principles. So even though vegetarianism was not that widespread, there were some religious sects or groups who believed in vegetarianism and believed that it more, clearly aligned with the way we should eat. Leonardo da Vinci was known to have a love for animals. That's one of the strongest claims in favoring that Leonardo da Vinci was a vegetarian. This is because of his well-documented love and respect for animals. His writings are filled with musings on nature, and his profound admiration for the animal kingdom is evident. He often sketched animals with tenderness and understanding that was very rare for his time. So that's why many people suggest that he would purchase birds from the marketplace to set them free. This was a testament to his belief in all types of living creatures. He would be very sensitive towards animals and animal sufferings. In one of his notebooks, he wrote, "The time will come when men shall, as I will, look on the murder of animals as they now look on the murder of men." This quote is often cited as evidence of his vegetarianism, but it's worth noting that the sentiment aligns more closely with the philosophical views on the sanctity of life than on specific dietary restrictions. So, some other evidence from his writings also said that he said, "I have from an early age abjured the use of meat." So right there, he's basically saying from an early age that he basically did not eat meat much. So there was a very high chance that he was a vegetarian, or at least was somebody who abstained from eating meat, or maybe he ate meat occasionally, but really ate mostly vegetables. We don't really know at this point because he never came out and said, "I am a vegetarian and I will not eat meat." But of course, when you look closely at his writings, you look closely at the things he said, there is a great belief that he himself was maybe a vegetarian, or he abstained from meat or almost all types of meat eating. There's also some evidence in his health itself that in the last 5 years of his life, it said that he had a right, hemoparalysis, which is a condition that affects one side of the body, often associated with stroke. Some modern researchers have suggested that the vegetarian diet of True could have influenced, his health condition, contributing to a stroke itself. Your vegetarian diet could either positively or negatively affect the cerebral vascular system. But on the other hand, he lived in an area where there was lots of fruits, there was vegetables, there was whole grains. So he, would have eaten better than a lot of other people, which could have had really good anti-inflammatory, and he could have had much lower cholesterol levels. The truth is, we really don't know whether or not he was a vegetarian. There's, numerous modern literature and biographies suggest that he abstained from eating meat, but all that evidence is circumstantial because we have no direct proof that he was actually a vegetarian. So really, this whole myth or whatever, this talk stems from his compassion for animals, his belief system, and basically some of his culture. I personally myself believe that he probably was some form of vegetarian, whether or not he was a full-fledged vegetarian, whether he sometimes ate meat, sometimes didn't eat meat, maybe he ate fish, maybe he ate seafood. We really don't know, but he probably was some form of vegetarian because of what he's written about animals, his love for animals, how he was known to set birds free, and some of his writings that he wrote about meat itself and eating of and the meat. Maybe he just didn't like the way, many of the rich people would have these feasts and they'd have all this, meat come in, and the meat would probably be wasted. And there was probably a lot of glutton, a lot of waste. And he maybe just really didn't like that. And that could have been another reason why he's written about it. But whether or not we can positively say 100% he was vegetarian, we cannot, because he did not write down and say, I am a vegetarian and will not eat any meat. This is Anita from 5 Minutes with Art. Thank you so much for listening, where we spend 5 minutes each week and go through different things of art, so that we hope that you've enjoyed this and that you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about one of my favorite artists, Leonardo da Vinci.